the royal
We do nothing
public.
wrong. I mean, we're just perfectly reacting to it. Everyone else is wrong.
Obviously. That's the point of this podcast, is that we are right and people should listen to us. There's your clip, business boys. There's your show promo clip.
Hello and welcome to HR Confessions. I'm Rebecca Taylor.
And I'm Kim Rohrer. We're bringing you unfiltered perspectives from the world of HR with real stories and good advice.
So today's story takes offsite training to a whole new level. And by new level, I mean inappropriate, unforgettable, and not in anyone's employee handbook, which is like the perfect combination of things, in my opinion.
Oh, man.
What do you think?
Oh, man. I'm ready. This sounds like it is going to be a wild adventure, and I can't wait to join you.
Yeah. I love an offsite story. Do you want to
Lay it
guess
on
where we're
me.
headed today?
Yes.
Where do you think we're going?
Ooh. I kind of want this to be like a mountain story. I'm thinking like an Aspen or a Jackson Hole or something like that. Or maybe the beach.
It's basically
I'm just
the
thinking
opposite
places
of
I
those
want to go.
locations.
Excellent. An offsite in the deep city or the swamp.
Yeah. So, or Vegas. We're going to Vegas, baby.
Oh, no.
For those who aren't watching the video, Kim's head just immediately went into her hands. Just the biggest look of resignation.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Let me just say that I have been on more than one occasion asked to plan a team offsite to Las Vegas. And on more than one occasion, I have been begged to attend so that there will be a grown-up in attendance. Or so that the CEO doesn't have to be the only grown-up in attendance. I don't think you know this about me, Rebecca. I don't love Las Vegas. I would much rather plan an event for other people and then be like, go have fun, do your thing. But yes, on more than one occasion, I have been required or been begged is the right word to attend so that basically so that HR will be there.
Yeah.
Great feeling.
Well,
great.
It's
feeling.
actually, I definitely thought that you would be a Vegas person. I mean, it's just so on brand for you. So this is shocking new information.
Absolutely. Yeah. Berkeley hippies love Vegas.
Yeah. What's actually funny is I have a lot of stories that take place in Vegas that I've been sitting on. And I figured I was like, let's break out one of them today. And like, let's just start working our way through some of these. So I'll try not to make them
What
like a whole
happens in
series all at
Vegas
once.
does not stay in Vegas.
So that's literally what I called this. The working title for this script is just what happens in Vegas. So
Yep. Great.
Are you ready?
Great. We are spiritually aligned. I'm ready.
Love. Okay. So our HR hero today, we're going to call her Dana. She works at a mid-sized company that just crushed its year. Big wins,
Great.
big bonuses, and a big manager's retreat in Las Vegas to celebrate. So pool cabanas by day, buffet carbs by night, and enough optional meetings to make the expense report look respectable.
Yes.
Familiar with this setup?
Absolutely.
So it's day
absolutely.
3.
Day 3? How
Yeah.
long is this retreat?
It's day 3. It's a week-long It's a week-long affair. No pun intended.
Week in
which you'll
Las
find out.
Vegas? A week in Las Vegas? How does anyone do
Like
that?
my skin is drying out just thinking about it. I'm like,
I hit
just
my
so
limit
much
at,
desert.
Yeah, like I would say 48 hours, maybe 3 to 4 days,
Yeah.
like max. And by day 4, I'm like, get me the out of here. A whole week in
Yeah,
Vegas.
I did 2
with
days
your
at HR
coworkers?
Transform this year, which is in Vegas, and 2 days I was like, I'm good, I'm done. I don't need to come back for a long time. And it's just it's not my vibe. It's not your vibe. It's some people's vibe, and that's fine. That's respectable.
But a week with your coworkers,
so
where you're ostensibly managing like manager retreat, offsite kind of stuff, and team building, fun, blowing off steam stuff. That's a lot.
Yes, yeah. So it's like part work, part play.
Yep.
So it's day 3. Everyone's puffy from like sodium and alcohol. They're all sleep deprived. So we're at the final session on the formal agenda, which is sales and marketing training with an external facilitator. So it sounds legit. It's like, okay, we're all going into sales and marketing training. We've got a facilitator coming in. Great. The meeting room is your standard beige carpet, hotel water pitchers with like the lemon slices that disintegrate and don't actually hold up very well. And then it's like they're trying so hard to get some electrolytes in you because of the desert air and your habits when you're in Vegas. And there's like that projector that hums like an airboat.
Tracks.
So just to set the stage. Yeah.
Yes.
So the facilitator rolls in with a small suitcase and a wireless clicker. So she looks the part. She's got her blazer. She's got her neat bun. She's got her glasses. Slide 1 pops up in her presentation. Funnel health and growth opportunities. Sounds like a sales training. We're here for it. So she starts with a few basic charts. She goes, here's where your win rate drops after the demo, like that kind of thing. So kind of digging into some of their stuff. Everyone's nodding, half listening, half mentally like ordering room service. Like they're like, what can I do? That's when I'm done with this. And then she sets the clicker down. She smiles and she says, the real secret to sales is confidence. Music starts. I wish we had like editing in here that we could like cue up some good music here. So it's like bass thumping.
We'll get the business boys to cue up some music for us.
Yeah. So like bass thumping, neon lit, like not pre-approved, kind of like, all right, what's the vibe here, music? She unbuttons the blazer and the room goes
where
still.
You were going with this.
She unbuttons the blouse.
I was so scared. Okay.
Yep. Record scratch inside everybody's soul. So she goes to the front row. Let's loosen up those objections. And she is just stripping in a corporate conference room at 10:42 a.m. So Kim, I have to ask you, have you ever been in a meeting where your brain just goes blank? Like, what is your... And now a quick word from our sponsor, SkillCycle. SkillCycle is a talent development system that connects performance management to one-to-one coaching and development. The SkillCycle platform aligns individual growth with business objectives through continuous feedback, AI-powered development paths, and leadership training. As a SkillCycle co-founder, I'd love to talk to you out there in our audience, progressive people leaders who really get it. Let's chat over coffee on us to give us some feedback on the episode and about the challenges you're facing today. You might just contribute to a topic on our next episode. Email us today at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. That's hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. What does your face do in this moment?
Something sort of like this, I suppose. I've definitely been in meetings where something has dropped and I've been like jaw dropped, just like stunned into silence. I have never had that happen because a stripper shows up. So that's an interesting twist. I was really anticipating this was where you were going when she brought in a little suitcase and a little clicker. I was like, is she a real presenter or is she a stripper? We're in Vegas. Like, oh, I'm scared. Yeah. I really hope this isn't where the story is going. But sadly, as so often is the way with HR Confessions, that is exactly where the story was going.
It goes exactly where you don't want it to go. And no disrespect to those in the profession. It's just the crossover. Absolutely.
It's just not appropriate for a business meeting.
Yes.
It's not appropriate for a sales training. No.
Yes. Yeah. This is I think if
I really want to know if she showed up with actual like data from their sales funnel. Like, did she show up with actual like, this is your real data? Like,
it sounds like she did. Like, it sounds like it was a real presentation that was based on their stuff, which is why at first they're like, yeah, this looks right.
Like somebody prepped her and was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. It's not like they were just like, oh, we hired this confidence boosting, striptease artist. Someone prepped us, like, okay, we're going to trick everybody into thinking this is a real thing. And here's what you're going to, oh God.
And here's where you're going to start.
Forethought. Yeah, too much forethought for this to be appropriate.
Yeah. This is where I would just do like what they're now calling the Gen Z stare. I would just stare. I would just be like, what is happening? I am processing something ridiculous right now.
So, and probably I would be like secretly texting everyone I know.
Yeah. Well, Dana, Dana's kind of like from, you said that you're invited to these things sort of to be the adult in the room as HR. That's pretty much Dana's situation too. Yep. So she slides a side eye to the general manager. We're going to call him Rick. So Rick has his hands laced behind his head like he's courtside at like a basketball game. Yeah. He gives her like exactly to plan. Yeah. He gives her the "this is fine" grin. And like Dana telepathically is screaming, Rick, did you do this? And he very obviously didn't. Yeah. What have you done?
Oh, Rick.
So we're now on slide 3, top 5 growth opportunities. And the trainer's now in lingerie and heels. So she climbs onto a chair. A manager kind of just like yelps, then laughs, then immediately does the, I'm so respectful, I stare at my notebook thing. So so the facilitator is just up there doing her thing, and people are literally just either avoiding looking at anything or trying not to be rude to this woman who's just trying to do her job.
Right.
And so one manager whispers, "Is this a metaphor?" And then the other one goes, "I think the metaphor is HR jail."
Oh, God.
So Dana's just sitting there. She's like, "Oh no, I definitely have to do something." And she's kind of trying to figure out how to play this because, it's like you don't want to overreact and then make it. It's kind of like when a kid falls, you don't want to be like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" You want to be like, "You're fine. You're fine."
Right.
So two female managers quietly stand, scoop up their totes and walk out. No theatrics, just boundaries, which I'm like, you know what? Respect. So then we've got 2 more managers who I understand are devout Christians, and they exchange sort of this look and they follow because they're like, okay, this is not our vibe. Like, we got to get out of here.
But it's okay for us to leave.
Right. It's okay for us to leave. And so that leaves like a dozen people just frozen in this tableau of horror, curiosity, and like the universal corporate reflex of pretending this is normal. Because like clearly the GM is like, this is great. So you kind of got to play it as like, do I just kind of end this? Or like, what do I do?
Right. Oh boy.
So this is actually a direct quote that I had to include in this because I just thought it was actually kind of funny. So the trainer goes to like this very startled finance manager. She goes, "You look tense. Don't worry. I have a pipeline massage." So we have like sales wordplay in this performance that this is either her gimmick. Maybe she does like corporate sales retreats a lot. So she has like, I don't know, the words, or Rick prepped her. I don't know. But I'm like, what a moment. What a moment for this experience.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
Yep. So she keeps going. She dances, she twirls, she does this like, she's bending over binders, and just slide 3 of the PowerPoint about the growth opportunities is just sitting there in the background. And so Dana is now in motion. She walks over to Rick and she basically stage whispers, "Rick, outside now." And Rick, this is where, as I read the story, I got infuriated. Rick just, without moving, goes, "It's team building." And Dana's like, "It's liability." And Rick goes, "It's Vegas." And Dana goes, "It's a deposition." So place your bets. If you were Dana, what's your next move? Stay, leave, intervene, hit the fire alarm, melt through the floor? Like, what's your move now?
I like the fire alarm idea, except that it's like illegal. It's like, I don't know, is it a federal offense? It's definitely not kosher to pull a fire alarm when there's no fire. Not suggesting that.
Yeah, it was not a real suggestion.
Yeah, no. What would I do in that situation? I probably would like put a stop to the whole thing. I would probably, as HR, I don't want to leave the room and have things happen that I don't bear witness to, because who knows what is going to go on once I leave. But I would stand up and say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we have to end this session early. Everybody, you're excused. Rick, please stay here."
So you're overriding Rick.
I'm overriding Rick. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The part that what I got infuriated by is that Rick is just completely dismissing Dana and is just like, I don't give a crap like what you have to say. I'm doing this, and
no,
that's it.
I am overriding Rick. I don't care. I don't care that he thinks he has more power in this situation than I do. This is harmful to the company. This is harmful to our employees, and I won't stand for it.
I would do the same, for the record, because it's also I have
no qualms.
I'd
What's
rather
happen? Like Rick's gonna get mad at me for putting a stop to it. Yeah,
right. I'd rather look crazy for stopping it than look crazy for letting it continue. If that's really what it comes down to.
And like, what's Rick gonna do? Rick's gonna fire me? Like, it's not gonna happen. And if I get fired because I put a stop to this, then I know that I'm in the right. So, yeah.
So this is the part that's unclear to me because this was an anonymous submission, so I didn't get the chance to like ask follow-up questions. But Rick is the GM, Dana's the head of HR. What I don't, and it's like a mid-sized company, so what I don't know is if Rick is her boss. Because
Even if
sometimes
Rick
like
is her
HR will
boss-
roll into the GM.
Yeah, I think even if Rick is her boss, she has an obligation as an HR leader to protect both the company and the employees. And by letting this continue, she's protecting neither group. She's protecting Rick and his preferences, which is not her job.
Yeah, 1000% agree. But I think that my assumption about him possibly being her boss is I think what impacts the move that she makes. Right. There's the power dynamic. There's the, it's a hard position to be in. Even when the right thing is so clear, the self-preservation is still going to kick in.
Right.
So what happens is it continues. So basically, after a generous 15 minutes, music fades. The trainer snaps her suitcase shut like the Mary Poppins of HR violations, blows a kiss and glides out. Door closes. The room exhales in absolute shimmering silence. So now they've just witnessed this. They don't know how to react to this, but they also can sense the tension between Dana and Rick because it's obvious, right?
Yes.
Rick claps. He goes, all right, Q1 projections. Like, this is part of his whole thing. He's like, let's now go into Q1. And a sales manager raises their hand and goes, do we get the slides? That's why I'm like, I think that these slides actually had real data because the sales manager was like, do we get the training material here? Or like, what was this?
What was this? Oh, boy.
Yeah. So Dana just like puts both palms flat on the table like she's grounding an earthquake. She's just kind of like, okay. She goes, before we continue, I want to acknowledge that what just happened was not on the agenda. It was not appropriate for workplace training, and some colleagues chose to step away, which is absolutely valid. And Rick chimes in. He goes, it's Vegas, lighten. And Dana like cuts him off. She goes, if anyone wants to leave, you can. No repercussions. This is optional. So like instantly she starts cutting him off. She's like, okay, I let this continue, but now like I have to show that this isn't going to stand. So half the room stares at the carpet. One more person stands, slips out mouthing like thank you to Dana. Like, I'm opting out of this right now. Yeah. And Rick tries to like, if this isn't fun, you're not fun. Yeah. The whole thing. Like, this is sort of the approach that he tries to take with Dana. And it doesn't land. This vibe. Because he's channeling this at Dana, but the managers who are there also are like, yeah, like, that's okay if we're not fun. We're not really here to be fun. So, like, I'm okay with you telling me that if, you know, that my reaction means I'm not fun. So they're kind of like, all right, let's just sort of like try to move on from this at this particular moment. We have trainings to get through. We are here for some sort of a productive offsite. So they do have to set their Q1 projections because I think this is like an end of year kind of thing. So they just lived through it like nothing happened. With people missing. Like, people just left and never came back. So now they're trying to do this with maybe half of the people that are supposed to happen. So, you know, they limp through. They're like, okay, we're done with this. Like, session's over. And after the session, everybody kind of goes into the hallway and is just sort of ready to either go to lunch, go to the end of the day, wherever their next thing is. And one of the managers goes, it's basically like this circle of debriefs, like whispered debriefs happening outside of this conference room. Okay. So one manager goes, what just happened? And the other one goes, I didn't think Rick would actually do it. So someone else knew that this was happening.
Rick had like, and then like, what other person I'm going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Because remember, they've been there for a few days together. So, like, they're probably, you know, at night hanging out at the bar. Rick's probably like, oh, guess what? That's my impression of him. He's like, I'm gonna hire this person to come to this presentation. And so, and then someone else just goes like, I'm too hungover for this. So, you know, pretty much standard gambit of reactions. Yep. So now we're up to the confrontation between Dana and Rick. So how do you play this? If it were you.
Honestly, Rebecca, I feel like I have not had so many heavy sighs ever in an episode of HR Confessions.
Yeah.
And possibly this is because I have been Dana, not in this exact scenario. I have not had the stripper sales training, but I have had the "you're no fun" and me be saying there's a difference between me being no fun and me stopping things that could really hurt our people or our company.
Yeah.
And things that are not appropriate for work. And I just, my heart is heavy for Dana because it is a hard place to be when you are the company party pooper and you have to like lay down the law and be told, well, you're no fun. We're in Vegas. We're on a retreat. It's like, yeah, but we're still at work, man. Like,
Yeah.
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 So
also, like, I never care about being fun at all in life, but
not what it's about.
especially not at work, right? Like,
but even if I do, I'm trying to think, like, even if I want to be thought of as like a fun HR person or like your fun coworker who happens to be responsible for HR, like there's a line and there's things that are not appropriate for work.
yeah.
And I think my approach with Rick is different if he's my boss versus if he's my peer. But either way, I think Dana has to gather a little bit of the like, let's say worst case scenario and Rick is her boss. Say like, Rick, I understand that you have more authority than I do in this company, but things like this need to go through me because this is not appropriate for work. This is not an appropriate use of company funds. This is not an appropriate activity. Here's why. Here's like my role as HR. Like I have to do a little bit of like mansplaining, gender neutral mansplaining to say like my role in HR is to do this. When I see something like this, I have to say something and like you screwed up. And I would like to know how we can collaborate on a solution to move forward with this because you've alienated half your team. Half the team is uncomfortable with what you've done. And this is not acceptable behavior from leadership at this company. And like, I'd probably word things differently if he was my boss and I was scared of retaliation than if he was my peer. And I'm wondering, like, has she had to have conversations with Rick like this before? Is this new behavior? Yeah, but like something has to be said. This cannot continue.
Yeah.
And it can't be brushed under
she
the
does
rug of
confront
like,
him.
well, Rick was just trying to have a good time. Like, no big deal.
Right.
No, this is a big deal.
Right. And so she does confront him, and it is a similar kind of talk track to that. So she just kind of like, just goes right into it. She's like, you hired a stripper. And he goes, technically an entertainer. She's like, for a sales training during a business meeting. And
A sales trainer who takes their clothes off.
Right. And he's like, oh, it's for team morale. And, you know, Dana's like, but there's laws about this. There are issues here.
Also,
and Rick goes, nobody complained.
See, when you're in a situation like this, I am a big fan of sort of letting them dig their own grave a bit and asking the pointed questions to get them to come to the conclusion on their own, because they'll receive it better if they're coming to the conclusion on their own, or if they have to hear themselves saying out loud, you know, like if someone's saying something racist and you say like, oh, that's interesting, I haven't heard that, why do you think that? And then you like,
what do you
making
mean by
them
that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that? So I would say when Rick says, you know, nobody complained or it was for team morale, I'd be like, well, how's team morale now? How do you think this has impacted team morale?
Yeah.
And like, what about the morale for the team that left because they felt uncomfortable?
Yeah.
How did this work? How did this work out?
Yeah.
Rick.
And that's very much
Just
like
work.
the vibe. Yeah, that's very much the vibe, because he's like, nobody complained, and Dana's like, 3 people literally left. Like, there hasn't even been time for people to submit a formal complaint, but leaving is a pretty clear form of complaint, or at least of expression that this isn't cool. And Rick's like, so Rick just pisses me off, to be honest, because he just sounds like a complete asshole. And he's like, you know, oh, they were just prudish. Most people laughed. And Dana's like, laughing in a hostage situation is a coping mechanism. And Rick's like, it was a treat. We had a great year. And this is where I think she finally like nails it.
My friend.
Yeah. And like, this is where like you could see Dana kind of like, you could tell that. So your approach is to sort of influence Rick to come to the conclusion that this was stupid. Dana is still sort of taking I'm trying to speak logic to this person. So like, You know, I think that she's a little bit less experienced in general, or probably just exhausted from the day, reacting to the situation herself, because this is the thing with HR is like, we're not just these ambivalent people who can weigh in on things. Like, we experience these moments as employees as well. And so she's like, okay, there's the employee side of me, then there's the HR side of me, and then there's the Rick is most likely my boss side of me. And so Dana finally says, like, did it ever occur to you that not everyone would want to celebrate a good year the way that you did? And Rick's like, oh, come on. So then she starts to like hit the, like, really strike the rule. She goes, let me be crystal clear. You set up a situation where employees could feel harassed, coerced, or retaliated against for objecting. You put the company and them at risk. And Rick's like, everyone's fine. No one's getting fired. And so Dana's like, I didn't say fire. I'm saying you need to fix this. You owe people an apology, and we need policies for vendor vetting and even conduct like yesterday. And then Rick goes, or we could call it team bonding and move on. So Dana just stares at him. The adult in the room stare.
How bonded is this team, bro?
Right. Are they bonded in trauma? Are they bonded in hatred of like this boss? I mean, we've all had those too. Like, I don't know. I have a lot of great relationships with people that I worked with early in my career because we worked in messed up places where stuff like this would happen. And so like Dana just gives them the adult in the room stare because, you know, unfortunately that's the role that we tend to play. And she goes,
that's right.
It's basically like, I can't make you do the right thing, but time will sort of stare. Like, I can't do this for you now, but you know what? Time's gonna come for you, Rick. And do you want to guess what happened?
Nothing.
What happened as a result? Nothing. No apology email, or like even apology discussion. No acknowledgement of it. No post-mortem. No, we hear you. Nobody got fired. Nope. The story just like lived inside everyone's head. It's like the glitter that you can't get rid of from an arts and crafts project. It's just always there. And like, weeks later, a manager jokes in the break room, any updates on funnel health? And like 3 people simultaneously are just like, oh, dude, like, don't remind us. And, you know, this is the end of our story. Dana just moves on to other fires. The 4 who walked out of the actual session itself just keep doing their jobs. And now with a new layer of like, so that's where the bar is. So less engaged, more cynical, never a great place to leave your talent, especially when this was supposed to be a team building offsite to celebrate a great year. Rick remains Rick, and the sales stripper training of Vegas becomes company lore. Funny to some, awkward to most, but unforgettable by everybody.
It's just such a sad, tragic ending, and yet it is so familiar. I mean, when you said, what do you think happened? You know, it's like, nothing happened. Of course nothing happened. What's going to happen? Like, and nothing is going to happen unless people who have a bit more privilege than Dana stand up and say things and speak up. This is, you know, not to get too, I don't know, depressing on this podcast, but things don't change unless we change them. And stories like this are far too common in companies, on HR teams, in our field in general. And if you are in a position like Dana, or you are one of the people on the team like this, you have to use whatever platform and privilege you have to speak up to help change things. The Ricks of the world are not going to change on their own. They're not going to change because one Dana told them that their behavior was wrong. Like, if there are no consequences, things will not change.
And they're not going away. There's a lot of them.
No, there's a lot of Ricks out there. Where you have the power and the privilege to create change, that is your power in HR, like using the power that you do have. So like, I look at things like company values are a great example of this. I would bet that Rick's behavior is out of line with their company values, but there's no one. I would hope. But if there's no one at the company who can say this is a performance issue because Rick as a leader is acting in discord with our values, and there needs to be accountability, otherwise our values are meaningless. And how do we hold leaders accountable for, you know, inappropriate behavior? How do we hold leaders accountable for poor performance? whether that's not meeting targets or not acting in alignment with our values. Companies don't often enough, I'll say, hold leadership accountable in these ways. And that I saw a really great post recently that was about hiring and how your values show up in hiring, and how you measure whether someone will be a good culture fit at your company based on your values. People don't get hired for jobs because of the wrong vibe or the wrong culture fit all the time. But then once you're in the company, especially in leadership, you're not often held accountable for behavior that's misaligned. And so, I don't know, all this is to say, if you are in a position of relative power or privilege in your company and you can speak up and say, not just this made me personally uncomfortable, because then you're at risk of the Ricks of the world being like, oh, you're just a prude, or you're no fun, and just like belittling you and gaslighting you until you quit. But taking this up with the rest of senior leadership and saying, hey, it's not just that this made people uncomfortable. It's like, this is not in alignment with the type of company we say we want to be. And what are we going to do about that? And asking those hard questions from your position of relative privilege, being able to say, I'm not okay with this, and here's why. It's not because I'm not fun. It's because we are supposed to be building a different type of company.
Yeah. And I think it also needs to go to what the actual risks are for the company too. Because sometimes you might get it where, if all these people report to Rick, because again, he's the general manager, they might be like, well, if this is how Rick wants to do it, this is how Rick is going to do it. So I think there's also
this is the culture on our team now, right?
Right. And so let's talk harm. So beyond, that was wildly inappropriate, which is sort of where we started. What are we actually worried about here? Because what I'm hearing is hostile work environment exposure, religious discrimination or reprisal risk if those who left are treated differently, vendor vetting failures, and power dynamics are broken. So those are the things that I really see. And some of those are actually things that can put the company at true legal risk, which sometimes is the only leg you have to stand on when you're talking about something that is inappropriate. It has to be there could be real consequences to this that aren't just someone's upset. So what are you hearing?
Yeah. I mean, clearly I have very personal feelings about this. I care a lot about this. I'm just sitting here agreeing with everything you're saying, because when you're in a situation like this, unfortunately, you as HR may feel completely disempowered if your boss is the one that's harming people. I'm hoping there's other executive leaders that Dana could go to about this, like the CEO, other execs. But it brings up that tough issue of when you are HR and you are the only HR, who do you go to when you have things like this? It's not like she can report it to HR, right? So who is she going to talk to about this? I might even get counsel from our employment counsel. If I had employment counsel who I had a cool relationship with, I had a counsel who I really, really desperately loved for many years. She's the greatest. And this is a case where I would email her and be like, hey, here's the thing that happened off the record. How can I put this into words that will scare our general manager into changing his behavior? And then she would help me out with some liability language or, harm reduction, risk avoidant language that I could be like, hey, it's not just me being a party pooper. There's actual legal risk here. And here's why, and here's what it is. And, I think you have to come at it from every angle you can when there's behavior that needs to change at the leadership level. So where you can apply the cultural values-based accountability framework, or the example that you're setting and the culture you're building and it's not inclusive framework, or the legal risk framework. You have to approach it from lots of different angles. But I also would really want to make sure there was another executive leader on my side. I would want a one-on-one debrief with the CEO about it, for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's hard when like what you mentioned earlier, when you don't have a lot of HR infrastructure in place, or if you are HR and there's not, someone above you that's within your, that's within your discipline, it's like you do have to partner with your CEO, your COO, like literally anybody.
Right.
And so I was trying to think of, something that, because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of our customers are also kind of, organizations where they have like one or two people in HR. And especially I'm noticing that the size of HR departments is getting smaller now. Because AI can just do our jobs, apparently.
I was just going to say, just like make a GPT for HR and then
right.
It's all fine.
So I'm like, okay, if I love to give people either a checklist or just something that's like, if this happens to you and you have little to no infrastructure, like here's stuff that you can do that at least you could say you're doing your job and that is trying to kind of do the right thing. So like, I'm thinking document what happened and who left. Like documentation is everything. Even if it's just you write an email to yourself or you write an email to Rick, and like just that's the best form of documentation because it's time-stamped. I love emails. Definitely push for like a written events and vendors policy if you don't already have one. So just something that's just like, either an approval or the types of vendors that are not appropriate to partner with, something like that. And I'm also thinking provide like private channels for anyone who is impacted to report concerns without going through Rick. So like, if you were at this offsite, you want to talk to me, like, my office is open, whatever, like set up office hours or just make it clear that they can talk to you. You also mentioned talk to a counsel, like talk to an employment lawyer or someone if you've got legal counsel at the company. Is there anything else you'd add?
Submit your story to HR Confessions.
Tell us. We'll tackle them for you.
I mean, this is.
We'll tell Rick what to do.
This is an opportunity to reach out and build community, though. Honestly, if you're if you have HR friends you can talk to, I wouldn't do anything that's in a public forum because that increases liability if someone else can report on what happened at your company. But this is a great time to like text your best friend in HR, or, in your small private circle of 5 people that you're in a WhatsApp group with or whatever, reach out to those people and be like, any tips on what I should do here? Because then they can get into really specifics with you about like the company, the team, what you're going on, and like, are there other things that I should be considering? Because there's so many nuances with these kinds of situations. Like I would want to talk it out with a trusted friend who, who knows more than I do about these things, or who knows as much as I do and can offer an extra ear.
Yeah. And sort of that sanity check too, or that gut check of just like, am I overreacting? Because sometimes you can be gaslit in your own job, and it is easy. It's not easy to be swayed, but it sometimes can be when you lose sight of what's important. And that's where, having a good network of people who can hold that mirror up to you and remind you of things when you kind of are stuck in the thick of it, like that really does go a long way.
Right. And they can help you figure out how to word things to be, most effective. And I was going to say threatening. That's not the right word. Let's just go with effective. Yeah. The most effective ways to word things.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. So, other question for you. I feel like I have an opinion about this, but I'm curious about you. Should anyone have been fired? And if your answer is maybe or yes, who and why?
So, I don't think that this is necessarily a fireable offense. Rick is the only person in this situation who is up for termination in my mind. But I don't know that this is a fireable offense unless it's violating something specific that the company has stated. And without knowing what's in the employee handbook, without knowing what the cultural norms and rules are around this sort of thing, it sounds like they didn't have any sort of documented policy on like work appropriate vendors or what to do in these types of situations. Like, it's not clear to me that there is a fireable offense, like a legally defensible stance for firing Rick. And I don't know what state they're in, if it's an at-will state or not. Like, I I think in this type of situation, I would err on the side of radical behavior transformation. Like, it's hard to say, like, well, just put him on a PIP because he's a GM and that's not usually how it works. But like, Rick needs to have a sit down and be told, like, this is inappropriate. Here's why. Do you understand why it's inappropriate and why this can never happen again?
Yeah.
And here's what you need to do to remedy.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. And I asked that question because I know that when someone does something that feels egregious or that is something that we don't like in such a blatantly obvious way why we wouldn't like it, it's so tempting to want to be like, that person has to get fired. But it's not always that simple. Like, would I love to fire Rick? Like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's
that
within...
doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do.
Right. So this is the fun part of HR, is that there's the what would I love to do avenue, and then there's the what should I do or what's supposed to happen from here avenue. Right. And the way that I would see this is like, yes, we don't know what policies are in place, what's been violated, what's not, right? So like, let's say there's been no policy, so technically there was no policy violation, so that means that you write policies. Most policies are written because someone messed something up pretty badly before, and you put in policies when it's like, oh, let's not let this happen again. There's also the values part of it. So if the company does have values, you know, a lot of companies like to have integrity as one of their values and trust as one of their values, like we do at Skill Cycle. So it's like, that's a clear, like, hey, this might not have been the right thing to do. But again, without a clear policy, it's like, that
violating one of your company values a terminable offense? Probably not.
Right. Or it's like, is integrity about intent or impact? Like if Rick could say his intent was team building, but the impact was division, you know, then it's just like, well, then, you know, how do you kind of navigate that? So what I would look at this as like, you know, I'd also want to partner with the CEO or someone higher up to use this as a way to sort of reset and drive that radical behavior change, like you mentioned with Rick. So it's like, you know, hey, this is what happened. This is why it's not cool. This is what we're going to do to make sure that there's clear policies around what's acceptable and what's not. And then I would say, like, consider this 3 strikes all at the same time. So, you know, it's not 3 strikes, you're out. It's like, if you do something like this again, that's so egregiously, like, obviously wrong, now we're going to codify it as wrong. Then there's
Call it the Rick rule.
Yeah, the Rick rule. And, you know, I think so I'm curious about the people who left. So the people who, you know, picked up and left the thing. So how do you support them? Yeah, but how do you support them without outing them? And like also without making them feel like they're the problem for having boundaries? Like how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't out them publicly. I reach out to them individually and say, hey, just wanted to follow up. I know you left the program that Rick was running. I'm really sorry about the experience that you had. This wasn't sanctioned. I'd want to probably be careful about my language because I probably wouldn't want to apologize on behalf of the company and take responsibility. I wouldn't want to say this wasn't sanctioned by the company. Like I wouldn't want to say anything that the employee could then use, like turn around and sue us. But I would want to check in and say like, hey, I noticed that you left the session. I just want to check in and see how you're doing. Like, I want you to know that there will be no retaliation. It's totally okay that you left. And I'm here if you need to talk about anything. Like, keep it pretty simple. But yeah, like, not apologizing on behalf of the company. Not making assumptions. Like, maybe they don't want to admit why they left. Maybe they want to be like, oh, I just really had to go to the bathroom. Or, oh, a client texted me and I needed to go talk to them. And like, they don't want to cop to having felt a certain way. So just saying like, hey, I noticed you left. Just want to let you know, like, there's no consequences or retaliation for having left. I just want to check in and make sure you're okay. And if there's anything you want to talk about confidentially, I'm here for you. Yeah.
And there could also be the whole, like, I left, but I'm not wildly offended or upset. I just didn't want to be part of it, but I don't care if other people are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there is you have to kind of figure out, like, how are they feeling about this? Like, what is the kind of way that they're feeling? Right. And then, like, not take too much responsibility on behalf of the company, because you could then just be, in your effort to help, you could be opening up more issues for everybody to deal with, which is also another thing that makes HR so hard. It's
But
like
also,
it is a balance.
like, you want to leave the door open for them and let them know, like, my job as HR is to XYZ. I'm here if you need anything, but also not trying to lead them in a certain direction and push them in a certain direction, you know?
Yeah. And I'm not trying to attach a narrative that is not your narrative, right? Like, I'm not even trying to say you left because you were mad unless you say that.
Right.
And if you do say that, we can talk about that. But I'm just going to say, hey, I would actually offer the same line of communication to everybody. So not just to the people who left, but like literally to everybody. Just, hey, it's same talk track, same everything. Because that way it's just
you don't want to
consistent.
single anyone out. And there might be people who stayed and feel a way about it and they want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I would send the same offering to everyone saying, like, open for feedback and thoughts about our company team building offsite, learning offsite, whatever you want to call it. Here's a link to schedule time with me. But I would personally reach out to the people who left to be like, don't worry, you're not in trouble for leaving.
Yeah.
Here's the link to like talk about, to give your feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the deck to make sure you have the training information.
God. Remember that this was supposed to be training.
Yes. Yeah. So I want to leave with one more question, just whatever, just off the top of your head. Do you have any never again guardrails for retreats? So like, what's the boring stuff that actually tends to save the day with retreats and offsites and stuff? Like, what's the obvious don't do this or do this quick list for people? My number one is don't plan a retreat in Vegas. Just it's called Sin City. It's opening up a whole different dynamic and vibe, and you're just exposing people to make really stupid decisions. That's my main one.
Don't plan content without running it by someone else, specifically HR. Because this could have been even more harmful, and this could have been even more innocuous, but still like icky, right? Like it could have been Rick presenting a slide deck that had inappropriate jokes or distasteful humor or, you know, something gross or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it also could have been something worse. I don't know. I say this having once worked at a company where before I joined, they used to do a weekly lunch to a strip club because they were a group of guys and there was a strip club nearby and they liked the chicken nuggets at the buffet.
I actually have a lot of strip club stories too, sitting in the archives.
Yeah.
So, and
like,
they're not always the Vegas ones.
Once I joined, they were like, I guess we can't do this anymore. And I was like, guess you never should have been doing this in the first place.
Right. Is that really like, where you're going to spend your time?
Mm-hmm. Is that good? Is that
your work time? I should say. No judgment on your personal time, but your work time.
Yeah,
not
is
not
that
the
what
right
you want to do with your coworkers?
Right. Ugh.
Yikes!
I like that. Yep.
So yeah, I think that's run your content by someone who is different from you, I guess is what I should say. Like, run your content by someone who is not a yes man, or who is like, ideally, who is not your direct report, ideally, who is not like your number two hype man or woman.
Someone who's different from you. So maybe someone who comes from a different walk of life, different demographic, like maybe
different team even. Like,
do the vibe check. Yeah.
And if you're like trying to keep your stuff a secret, like, because you want to surprise your team, like, perfect time to run it by HR or ops or whatever.
We're very good at keeping secrets.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
Your secrets are safe with us. We might anonymize them and tell the internet, but
only with your consent.
Who you are. Only with your
Only
consent.
with your consent.
Sorry, Rick.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to this story. And I've got more Vegas stories on deck and more stripper stories on deck. And some of them is another Venn diagram where they connect, and others, they're just completely different related. So maybe we should do a whole season just of that.
Oh my God. No, I don't think I could handle it.
No.
That's the interesting thing though about this. I love every time we have a listener who writes in and says, like, I had no idea that was something HR had to deal with. I mean, this story, probably people could assume like HR is going to have to deal with it at some point, but the complexity of how HR has to deal with it, and I don't know, how HR just gets stuck in the middle of things sometimes. That's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be having this conversation any more than you do, Rick. Like,
Yeah.
you think this is a talk I want to have?
Yeah.
I don't want to be the fun police, but
Yeah.
you are putting me in this position by doing things that are wildly inappropriate.
Yeah. And you kind of always have to be on guard. You always have to be prepared for,
Yeah.
like, be prepared to get punched in the face, basically, and be like, well, I thought we were just here for a nice little offsite, but now here we are dealing with this stuff instead. And this is just the stuff that she knows about. So, like, I don't know. If I were Dana, I would not be the one that'd be hanging out at the happy hours afterwards. I would be like, I'm going to go do something completely different. I do not want to hang out with these people when they're drinking, partying, doing whatever, because I don't want to witness things that I shouldn't. And I do want to make sure that people can come talk to me if something does happen. It's like the holiday party rule. It's just like, go for an hour and then leave.
Honestly.
Well, that's all for this episode of HR Confessions. Thank you for listening, for your commentary, and thank you to our anonymous story submitter.
Yes.
You know, if you out there as a listener have a story you want to share, submit it through the link in our show notes. You'll find it in the description of the episode. You can send me a DM on LinkedIn, or you can email us at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. We promise you're in good company. We get so many crazy stories from people. And we will take very good care of them and make sure that, you know, what gets told you're not findable, you're not searchable. It's truly anonymous. And hopefully we can give some good takeaways to people so that others can learn from the things that you've witnessed and experienced.
I am exhausted. I need a nap.
And on that note, let's sign off.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.